Welcome to Chakras and Shit, a playful look at spirituality. I am the Playful Paladin, and I have a very special guest today whom I met through Toastmasters, the Down to Business Toastmasters Club in Port Coquitlam. We may or may not talk about how amazing our club is, but Mandara Lebovitz is here, and we are going to talk about everything from higher consciousness to healing yourself to wellness to fine arts to whatever flows. And I'm so proud and welcome to the show, Mandara. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Love it. Love being here.
And I so appreciate that you wrote out my bio for me to read. So these are totally my words as written by someone else. I love the beginning. Recent Toastmasters area competition winner, life coach, visual artist, entrepreneur with over 6 years as an adult educator and 15 years developing her conscious wellness practice. Mandara supports her life coaching, fine art, and video production clients by applying her superpower, her intuition, to everything she does. An avid yogi, outdoor enthusiast, and wellness junkie with a gift for energetic healing and medical mediumship. It is no wonder Mandara's name aptly means tree under whose shade all cares are forgotten. She is with us today to discuss how to connect with our higher selves and share her experiential wisdom on how she successfully healed herself from 2 reconstructive spinal surgeries and a lifetime of chronic pain. Did I read that well?
You got it. I lived it and you got it.
Beautiful. Welcome to the show. This is going to be so much fun.
Do it.
Which of those introduction pieces do you want to resonate on right now?
Well, they all tie in together, really, because we all live this. I try to live a holistic life. I mean, we are a whole being and we're connected to all that is when we allow our consciousness to do so. And so my life, like everyone's, fits together. All the puzzle pieces fit together. I'm not sure I would have found healing had I not found art or travel that I have done. My yoga is what helped me heal, but yoga was just the start of it, which led me to higher consciousness. So there's many ways I could go here. Ask me a question and we can go in any direction.
Yeah, so Toastmasters.
Let's start there. How we met, our love story.
Our love story. Oh,
Yeah.
How's our club doing? I can't remember.
Our club is like we're family. We are a spiritual bunch. So you could really interview so many of our members, right? What I love about Toastmasters is, I mean, people speak from the heart. They often add humor. You are brilliant at humor, Brent. So thank you for being in the club with me, because you just bring that light and energy. I learn from you. And we get to share our stories and connect and heal that way. So I think story's powerful. We hear this again and again. And yes, Toastmasters is the way to do it, right? To connect.
Love it. How long have you been a member?
I've been a member a couple years. I've gone on and off. But like you, without too much training, I got in and jumped in and showed up to the international competition level and won a few rounds with you. Okay, I was always just behind you, but I did pretty damn good. And I just loved sharing my story because it's nice to have an audience who wants to listen, and then we do the same, right? We do the same for one another. So
what a powerful statement. It's nice to have an audience that wants to listen. Ooh.
Yeah. Right? You got to find your audience. I really believe that you find your audience eventually. You don't know how or why exactly you're connected to them, and then suddenly you meet and you have that little bit of wisdom for them, hopefully. And you never know where you're going to get wisdom. It could be from a speech, it could be from a book, could be sitting and what is that? Have an apple fall on your head and get a bit of wisdom. But yeah, I think I get a lot of wisdom from Toastmasters and writing speeches. Just the creative act of writing helps you process your own life. And in crafting it and honing it and editing it to one piece, you learn so much about yourself. Don't you agree? You probably did the same, I would think.
There's something about the pen. There's something about the pen and getting those thoughts out. There's a lot of listeners and viewers of the show probably journal. That's a big thing is journal, with whether you're setting goals, whether you're just explaining where you're at today. For me, I didn't really start using my pen until I read Julia Cameron's An Artist's Way.
Oh
Have you
yeah,
read
I did that. Yeah.
the morning?
90s. Yeah.
Yeah, the morning pages, right? You
Yeah.
did it in the 90s. Did you say you did it in the 90s?
I did it in the 90s,
Oh, you're
but I'm doing
spiritual.
a different version of it today. Like I still do morning pages. Yeah. Continue. I want to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just getting whatever's in, hopefully your heart, sometimes in your head, but in your body, getting it out of the pen and writing it out. It's incredible what comes out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing these morning prompts now where I just flip a book to 2 different pages and then I take 2 sentences or 2 whatevers and I put them together and I start writing. And even those, I'm writing fictional stuff now for fun. But of course, it always speaks to my life. And then I learn something through the characters that I'm creating. And this is just a morning, like a 15, 20-minute thing. I'm also writing a book. I'm working on a book right now called The Healing Back. It's actually called The Bad Back, but it's called, I scratch out the word bad and it's called The Healing Back because so many people say, I've got a bad back. And that language is so powerful. So you're talking about the written word and writing it out. Language is so powerful. So if we say to ourselves, oh, I have a bad back, I have a bad back, that occurred to me about 15 years ago. And I stopped that. I never say that anymore. So if my back was ever sore, I just say I have a healing back.
Wow.
And so I'm working on that every morning too, as well. I'm writing out these chapters. And so a little bit of fiction is good for the soul and a little bit of prose.
Beautiful. And that's been a theme today is how powerful words are. So
Yeah.
when you're writing out these pages, are you looking to create a story? Are you looking to heal? Are you just your purpose is to write? Why are you going through this?
Well, like I said, it was all connected. So art is a big part of my life. I have spent many years of my life. I have a fine art degree, and then I put it on the shelf and I don't do visual art. And I just live a creative life as often as I can. And so right now it's writing speeches, writing this book more than anything. And 2 things happen for me. The creative process, you get in touch with that intuitive voice. And lately, because my practice is deepened, I'm processing a lot of my emotions, and you get that mind body connection going, which you get through yoga, but you can get it through writing too, because you're connecting that creative brain, your intuitive being, and what I call connecting to my higher self through my writing and channeling wisdom from my higher consciousness, and also getting in touch with that creative energy. Like, where does that creativity come from? There are books and books on creativity, and often people see it like a spirit, like William Blake, just thought it as God coming in and giving him its wisdom. Albert Einstein thought that way too, his genius and his science, right? So I'm likening myself not quite to Albert Einstein just yet and Blake, but it's that experience of the artist. And now with the healer for me, as a healer, it's like channeling emotion, like connecting my mind and body so I can heal myself through the pen, through my art. Yeah, the
Beautiful.
conscious practice. Mm-hmm.
Have you read Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert?
That's what I was just saying, lots of books, but I was thinking about them. About her. So we're already connecting. Big Magic. I just finished that book.
Yeah.
Exactly that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got some great stories about like hugging her friend and that
Crazy.
that idea transferring, and then her friend wrote the same story without knowing it. Very cool.
Amazing. And how ideas are living things, and they're organisms just like plants and people and cows and mosquitoes and what
And
else
if you don't
lives.
love and nourish it, it goes, screw this, I'm going to another body. I'm going to go to another being, right? It's brilliant. Yeah, I
Nice.
left so many ideas unloved. And I don't want to waste another minute.
Beautiful. What's an idea that you unloved that you saw manifest itself somewhere else?
Like the big magic story. Well, you know what? 11 years ago, I started my yoga practice to heal my body. And I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't guided by anyone. I wasn't taking yoga classes. In fact, I would get injured when I did yoga classes. So it wasn't till I developed my own practice of meditation, grounding myself, connecting to my higher self. Those 2 things happen at once. I went really slow at first, and I discovered that we can heal ourselves. By slow, I meant 2 hours sitting on a chair, maybe moving my arm up once and my leg once, and deep breathing and trying not to bend over and hurt myself and my back. I mean, I was really screwed up. And you said we can swear on the show. So I was fucked up back then and desperate. And these ideas came through me, these brilliant ideas at that time. And all I was concentrating on was healing myself. But I would journal out poses and postures and sequences and transitions. And I was like, people with bad backs, healing backs, need to know about this. And I spent 11 years working on this, and I kept thinking, I'm going to do this. And I didn't do it. I didn't share it with anybody. I did it for myself, and it was brilliant. And eventually I got back into mainstream work and became a manager at the school district and went into mainstream community work. But I always wanted to do this. And it's not till now that I've done it. So to go back to your question, in the last 11, 12 years, what's happened? Life coaching is, I mean, it's been around since the 90s, but it is blasted open. Podcasts like these, talking about health and wellness, it's everywhere. Organic life, yoga life, smoothie, everything I was doing back then, I feel like I could have been a little more in that pioneering time. And now it's everywhere, which is brilliant. I love that it's everywhere. But at the same time, I watched all these cool ideas I had kind of be done before I did them. So yeah, so now I'm joining a movement that's here and strong, and I'm happy to be joining finally. So yeah.
Beautiful. What's the movement?
The wellness movement,
Okay.
the growth junkie movement, yoga life, yoga as a philosophy, not just to have a cute butt. I'm trying to live a yogic philosophy and aligning myself with my higher self, which means never assuming that I know what the next thing in my life is going to be. The yoga philosophy is being in the present moment, which is hard to do, but to keep coming back to grounding and breath work and connecting to my higher consciousness, that to me is the life I want to live and help other people find for themselves as best I can. So that's the movement.
Yeah.
And now with COVID, breaking the mold of society's daily practice, that speech I gave, that we entered the competition side by side, and my speech was about sitting, just taking a moment to sit. And COVID presented the opportunity for us to not get into our cars and jump, run out the door and scramble, but instead to take a moment in your day and sit and breathe and get rid of fear, because there's so much right now going on out there, and we need to sit and breathe and connect and slow down more than ever.
Mm. Yeah. COVID itself, the whole process of just being locked up, staying home, not socially distancing. What a weird thing to even say, socially distance. But
Yeah.
what do you choose to do at that time? A lot of people drank. That's all they did. Drink. Golf took off. Well, that's great. But to hear you connecting even deeper with your higher self, like you have for 20 or so years, and talking about this as a healing journey, I'd love you to just kind of walk us through. First of all, you've hinted at a bad back, healing back.
You got it.
I caught me. Walk us through what was wrong or what was healing, and how you had these ideas and you were so far ahead of this, and then here it is now, and you're seeing the world manifest itself. I'd love you just to take us through that journey and how it all came together in this amazing 7-minute and 20-second speech titled Just Sit, and explain how all of that can allow us a chance to heal ourselves as well. I know it's a lot there, but you can handle it.
Well, I'll start with my opening lines of my speech, Brent, since they are so right in my head after millions of hours practicing. My opening lines of my speech went like this. When I was 13 years old, I was told I might never walk again. The doctor, holding up an x-ray of my painful, twisted spine, explained to my parents and I that with one bad fall, I could be paralyzed for life. So that was the beginning of my 13th year, or somewhere in there, 13 years old, and found out, no sports, just give up on life for a little while, tried, but I was in a lot of pain. I could barely sit. Basically, my spine was stacked like a staircase and twisted. I needed complete reconstructive surgery. And when I was 15, even though they put Humpty Dumpty together again, I was still in pain. I had raging sciatic pain my whole life, and that's the chronic pain. And of course, just debilitating mechanical issues in my back for years as my back was trying to heal from the physical reality of what had gone on with the surgery and the trauma. And when I was 15, I had another surgery to take out the 6 screws they had put in my spine. And now the term for it is I grew up with invisible disability. I've never identified with the term disabled. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but I wanted to own this idea that I could heal fully and recover fully. That's just how I've always been. And obviously it's been part of my journey to believe in that and try for that and succeed as best as I can. Of course, it's an ongoing journey though, right, Brent? Like, you heal and then we're aging. So the joke in life is that as we heal and then the next thing comes up, it's never ending. But I have this confidence now. So higher consciousness came into play when I developed more of a spiritual life, which I'll mention, my travel journeys a little bit that happened where I found my spirituality, and that opened the doors for myself to listen to a higher mind and not my lizard brain, as they call it, not listen to the ego, the fear place. Like, Mandara, what's the point? You'll never be able to do anything. Your back's gonna go out no matter what you try, And I can feel that I've healed that, I'd say 99%, but even if as I say it, it's amazing how deep that is in my consciousness, because my back kept going out as a child and my whole life. So when my daughter was a little baby, my back went out almost for like 2 years, 6 months bedridden. I raised her with a back brace and a walker, had to quit university and school and jobs over and over again. So career was delayed. Everything in life was delayed. And I found one day meditating in the middle of the night, which is part of my speech, I sat down. My husband was snoring. I couldn't stand it. My back's hurting. I get up. I sit down in the living room to meditate at 1 a.m. And the best way to put it is I just deep breathed. I was deep breathing and got into a higher conscious state. And suddenly, intuitively, I could hear wisdom. As it turns out, I'm clairaudient. I have a lot of those clairs that you hear about. And I could hear and feel the next right step, the next movement to carry out, another yoga posture, exactly how to move, how to pull in my core muscle to ground my spine, to be able to move without hurting myself. I believe it's unique for everybody. So when you go in, if you were to go and meditate, if something you wanted to heal, mental, emotional, physical, whatever it is, Brent, and anyone listening, you go into your meditative state, you connect to your own higher consciousness, you'll receive your own wisdom your way. It doesn't have to be clairaudient, it could be, intuitive in whatever capacity is right for you. We're snowflakes. We are all created uniquely. But the one thing we share in common is we have access to higher consciousness, higher mind, which is connected to everything. And if you go into the quantum field, it's infinite potential. And this is where I guess I went. I mean, I didn't understand it at the time. Now I understand it 12 years later, but I didn't understand what I was doing at the time. I just trusted. I was like, this feels good. And I hadn't felt good my whole life. These movements I was suddenly doing were just transformational for me, slowly, incrementally transformational. And that's where real transformation comes from. It wasn't like, oh, now I'm healed. It was get on your chair every day, Mandara, for at least 10 minutes. Sometimes I love to do 2 hours, believe it or not, because it felt so damn good. But get on your chair and connect, and never assume what move you're supposed to do next, and let your higher mind show you how to move your body. And when I did that, I healed myself faster than any healer or anyone could ever help me with. I actually grew my spine. I'm 1 inch taller than I was when I was in my 20s. I straightened my spine, and I went to see some healers of mine a year later, and they were like, what happened? Your spine's straight. How did you do that? They couldn't even explain to me how I did it. Does it matter if we can explain it? It just is if it is. And so I'm promising you that if you take time to connect with your higher mind, you will be shown the way to help your life in whatever direction it needs to go.
Wow. And that moment, just take a second to take that in. Anyone listening or watching this, the the line that got me in that speech was when you said you were 1 inch taller. Like that visual, that puts it in like that much taller. And you weren't growing. You've right, you're
No.
finished growing.
Yeah.
That,
No, I
that
was
is
30 years old. Yeah.
oh. So what do you think was going on?
Well, what, again, one wants to get everyone's thinking mind to understand it, because, it's hard to understand these things. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a quantum scientist. I read about it. Joe Dispenza's explaining things to me now. He's brilliant at it. They're finally unraveling a little bit more about consciousness. So as scientists, science catches up and says, okay, this is what the mystics have been talking about for thousands of years. I get to go, oh, that's what I'm doing, in the logical thinking way to put it. It's just, I didn't know how to explain it till now. And now I understand the quantum field a little better, and how we, just saying language is important, thoughts emit frequency, how we talk to ourselves, the actions we choose to do, all of this is in our we all have magnetic energy around us, and it's emitting frequencies, and that like attracts like. Our frequencies are attracting experiences around us. So if I keep saying I have a bad back, and I have, this poor me mentality, and I'm crippled, I'll never get better. I mean, some people literally may not improve their lives. They live with disabilities, but I trusted I knew somewhere in myself that this isn't my life. Like, I can change this. I just always knew it. So, but I had to get through the self-doubt, and it's really a miracle. It's magical. It really is magical. So what was happening? I finally started to change my attitude, the way I thought about my life. I had to cry a lot. I had to let go of emotional pain and emotional trauma from the surgery, from even before the surgery, just growing up in my household. Whatever emotional issues were coming up as a child, we all have, all of it leads to our either good health or poor. And so I had to open myself up and change that frequency I was emitting. And once I did, I started getting the healing frequency given back to me. And I met more brilliant healers who taught me more tools that I could apply in my everyday life. And now I am a healer, because I've learned how to connect to higher consciousness, my own higher consciousness. I now know how to connect to other people's, so I can facilitate their healing. And that's a pretty exciting part of the journey. Yeah.
Wow. You just changed your whole reality. Just
You
your
just do
story.
it.
You just did it.
No, it can take years. If you do it every day, I mean, it was 11 years, but it only took me a year and a half to straighten my spine. I mean, that's huge. That's sitting every day on my chair, and then eventually the yoga mat. I mean, the reason why I was on a chair is because I couldn't even be on a yoga mat when I started. When I was sitting on my chair when I started, I couldn't bend over like I'm sitting now and touch my knees forward without hurting my back. That's how inflamed I was. And now I can bend up, stand over, touch my toes, and I've straightened my spine. That was 1 year. So you look at 30 years or 25, whatever years of pain, 1 year of sitting every day in conscious practice with my higher consciousness, not just me and my thinking mind sitting and doing yoga, but like really connecting. 1 year. And now it's 11, but every year I got stronger and stronger. But I'm also aging. I'm 41 now. So now
Whole new
I've
set of
got to heal
problems.
other things, Brent.
I
Other
know.
things.
I know. That's incredible. It's amazing. It's an incredible story. And Joe Dispenza, this is what he does in mass, right? He does these mass healings,
Yeah,
which,
thousands of stories of like mine. He gets the data from that.
wow, that's awesome. So what are you doing, or if you could help someone, let's say someone who doesn't understand the idea of connecting to their higher self, what practice were you using to connect?
Well, I love leading people through meditation, which I guess we're not doing today, but
We can.
visualization is really important. So in my speech, I was talking about there's 7 steps to connecting with your higher self. The first one is setting your intention to connect with your higher consciousness. When I say higher consciousness, by the way, you can use any term that's comfortable for you. You can just say, I'm connecting to self-awareness. If I'm connecting to God, source, the healing, Holy Ghost, spirit, whatever you want to say, whatever works for you, the universe.
Do you remember Julie
Set your
Cameron's
intention.
line? Do you remember Julia Cameron's line in Artist's Way? to make it simple, God, good orderly direction. So whatever that is, whatever that thing is that's up there for you, we're not going to define it. We're not going to fight over it. Good orderly direction in your higher self.
Yes, because we're all unique snowflakes. And yeah, intention is the most important thing. It's the first thing you need to do. I sat on my chair every day and connected, with intention to do so. You got to clear away the clutter of whatever else was going on that day. The second thing you do is got to work on your breathing to connect to yourself. And Joe Dispenza talks about your breathing. When you're deep breathing, you are actually pulling your thinking mind out of your being. And that is what connects you energetically to higher self, higher consciousness. And what he also explains is that your higher self, I just like to say it up here. It's a visual, right? It's obviously not up here, but it's up here. It connects to your nervous system. It connects through the chakras and shit. From chakras to shit, you clear out every chakra basically with your breath. You absolutely do that. And you're connecting your nervous system is what you're doing. Your nervous system kind of takes over. So you don't have to be in your thinking mind. It's just a body-mind connection. So you're breathing. Number 3, then you've actually got to ground and use some visualization. So grounding techniques. What does grounding mean? You're grounding your energetic body, the physical body, to the earth. Because when we get in our minds, our bodies aren't grounded. We're actually in the chakra, at the chakras up here, and we are not grounded. When we're not grounded, we can hurt ourselves through our yoga practice, through everything that happens in life. You can hurt yourself. I found that out the hard way. I wasn't grounded well enough when I first began. So I've had healers explain some of that to me. So here I am for you. So grounding your energy. Now, how do you do that? A visualization works great. So you imagine yourself, like roots of a tree coming up your leg, or you imagine a red light from the core of the earth connecting to your being. And then connecting to higher self. Well, higher self, what is it? You imagine it as a light, just this beautiful, loving, energetic light. And you imagine connecting above you to some light coming through your crown chakra. So you've connected your root chakra to the ground and your crown chakra. And then you've got this beautiful energy connection, mind, body, right, to the higher mind. And you've got to go through a process of that word never assume, that concept never assume is huge. You're breathing, you're letting your thoughts go, just like all meditation practices. You're not holding on to anything. You're pulling your mind outside of your body. And then what happens is you start to center into the center of your head. And as your energy aligns, and you stop hearing that little voice, the little nagging voices. This is boring. I'm tired. My back's sore. I'm not sitting up straight enough. I don't know how to do this. All that comes through. When that chatter starts to leave your being, another voice may come in. And it's the loving, gentle voice, if anything. And so when you start to hear a loving, gentle, kind voice with yourself, you're in the right place. If you have nothing but a sort of lightness of being, you're in the right place. Just showing up like this is huge. And from this, there's a process of forgiveness. Who do you need to forgive? What energy are you attached to out in the world that's draining your energy? And when we talk about forgiveness isn't what anyone did to you was right necessarily, right? Like any wrongs, it wasn't right. You're just letting go. You're just disconnecting from the energy. Forgiveness is that isn't going to affect me anymore. That person, that situation, I'm going to let that go. To do this healing work, you have to have all your energy with you. If any of your energy is dissipated and not in your chakras, if it's not filled up, if you're not filled up with light, because that's the visual, then you're only partially healing. If you're filled up completely, you can heal fully, which is why it took me 1 year to heal 30 years of pain in that level, because I was fully in my chakras. I was filled with my own energy. I took all my energy back from all those assholes, men that I dated. I took it back from fears I had, angry bosses, misogyny in the world, all of that. I took it all back. That's what I was working on. I just took back my energy. So I had enough energy to heal myself. So my body wasn't drained. So you go through forgiveness as the next stage, and you go through trust and gratitude. You need to trust the wisdom. You need to open yourself to that. And you need to feel grateful for wherever you're at and accept where you're at first and foremost. So these are the stages you go through. The first stage is just to sit. Just Commit to sitting wherever you're comfortable.
Wow. That's it's brilliant. It sounds super complicated and super simple at the same time.
Just sit. Remember
Just
the speech title. Just
just
sit.
just sit.
Sit and breathe. Just
Love it.
set your intention to sit and breathe and see what happens.
So I have a Joe Dispenza quote around that. And I wrote this in my little travel journal I took around the world. And this is from Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, that book. When we combine an elevated emotion with an open heart and a conscious intention with clear thought, we signal the field to respond in amazing ways. And the field being the quantum field, and it responds not to what we want, but it responds to who we are being.
Mhm.
So did you feel when you were going through this, were you wanting to heal, or were you just being in that moment and it healed automatically, or something in between?
I was setting my intention to heal and then letting the wanting go.
Okay.
Because the wanting is the thinking mind, and that distracts you from hearing the next right step. And the next right step is, for me, was like a yoga move, but for someone else, it might be something in their business or something in their personal life or something to grieve, just to feel and grieve and let come up and grieve, whatever. Yeah, you got to get out of your thinking mind. It can't be there. The wanting is a part of thinking.
Yeah, our brains get in the way, don't they?
Yeah, it's really coming to a place of nothingness. Joe Dispenza talks about you have to get out of the known and go into the unknown. Otherwise, you're going to keep creating more of the known. So you're going to create from the known in that thinking mind. So when you pull your thinking mind out of your body temporarily, put it on a shelf while you're meditating, what you're doing is you're going into the unknown. And then from that place, you can create. So you can actually manifest from the 3D material plane we're in right now, but you can also manifest from the quantum field. And there's a difference. And when you manifest from the quantum field, it shows up faster and more aligned with who you are, with who your soul is, like what you're longing for deeply, not just wanting. And so you've got to train yourself to understand that difference, because we can still just, but what happens with the quantum field is that you can manifest from there. Then you've still got to act on the 3D material plane. So you get that intuitive wisdom and guidance, but then you've got to show up on Earth, just as we are. You can't be in the clouds, and then do the work. So that's that line. You meet the universe halfway. That still applies. So my halfway was showing up and sitting every day and breathing with the intention to heal and to connect. That's me showing up. The rest was the universe guiding me and showing me what to do.
Surrendering.
Surrendering.
Yeah.
Hard to do.
Yeah.
When we think,
Right?
I got to do this and work to get ahead, to promote this podcast, to promote my life, we make things so hard.
Yeah, humans are so difficult on humans, and we're so hard on ourselves.
So hard on ourselves.
And here's a blueprint you just laid out that might take some work, and might take some will and some focus and some concentration, and at the same time, it's just a simple act of surrendering and letting go.
Yeah, it's more about what you can let go of than what you can add into your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you let go, you actually have more energy for whatever is meant to be and what's coming.
Oh, because we hold on to these limiting beliefs and these crappy stories and stuff from the past and traumas and all this stuff. We hold on to it, and then we beat ourselves with it. And then we're thinking about the future, and we're worried about the future, and what's missing is what you're talking about, is just being here now. That's it.
Yeah, my story used to be Mandara. She has a bad back. This is Mandara. She has a bad back. I mean, that's what everybody pretty much introduced me as. That's what my family was trying to protect me. Oh, like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? It was loving. It's part of, but that story, I held on to that story, and it was time to let it go. When you reach rock bottom, that's what happens. I had reached rock bottom. I was just so in pain and so angry and not doing what I loved, and time to go. Well, bye-bye.
Bye. See ya. And just listening to you, I was been thinking about the times I felt the most pain in my life, and two of them that stand out were both from the nervous system. One was I have a bridge, and the dentist was doing a root canal over top of it, and he hit a nerve in my face. Holy fucking
Painful.
shit.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
the
like
worst.
30 seconds of I've had so much dental surgery, like, and the dentist is my nightmare. My nightmare is my teeth falling out of my mouth, and nothing. And I could handle my shit in a dental chair. I'm so used to it. I'm like, yeah, do your thing. But when he hit that nerve, it was 30 seconds. I was kicking in the chair as an adult, and he's rubbing my face. There was that. And the second thing was the only time I ever had sciatic pain. And you're talking about
Mm.
sciatic pain. And it was about 6 months worth of sciatic pain and trying to floss and understand it. And in the end, the thing that healed me was strengthening my core. And now that pressure was
That's
off
it.
my, it was it, strengthening my core. And it took me 6 months of
Strengthening your
before
core.
before I learned it. So
And
this
that's
is,
why a year. When I said it took me a year, I was always hurting myself even when I went to physios, yoga classes. Anytime I listened to anyone else, I would get little nuggets of wisdom and then a bunch of pain, more pain. I was like, nobody understands me. I'll never heal. When I did my yoga practice every day for a year and my higher self told me how to move my body in the whatever sequence was necessary, I strengthened my core, which is why I can now do everything. I just needed to strengthen my core in my way,
yeah.
in my process. So brilliant. And that's why my sciatic pain stopped. So there's like things that it's not a huge secret. It's just, our physical bodies all work similarly, but it's just how we go about our lives is unique.
Mm. Have you had
So
any,
yeah.
have you had any injuries since? Like, have you been injured, or have you had felt pain other than your back and gone back to trying this to heal yourself?
Well, what's interesting is I use my healing now on everything from getting a headache to stomach aches, whatever. Because those are, of course, signs for me. When you get headache, stomach ache, whatever physical ailment comes up, to me, it's a sign that something emotionally is off in my life and that the mind-body connection has been severed in some way. I'm not flowing, I'm not aligned, I'm not connected. And this happens daily in little ways. But recently, when I started writing my healing back book, and I also just was awarded an arts grant to connect with, to start my own media podcast. And part of it will be talking to people who identify as diverse abled and living with invisible disability and disability. So artists and people learning to heal. I'll be starting this shortly. And I select this grant and our speaking competition. All three things kind of came up at once. Oh, and plus my healing courses. I'm longing to be better and better healer for others. So I'm taking all of this, living my purpose in my work life, and my back started to go. My back hadn't started to go. And when I say that, spasming, sciatic pain, not bending and not being able to, it started to go. And I went, uh-oh, what's going on? In a bad way. Like I couldn't sit. I couldn't do it. I couldn't walk. It was terrible. And I had to get all this material going because our emotion, it's like peeling an onion, our emotion. I've healed 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 layers of the onion, of this massive onion that is my being. But when I go deeper and as I strive for more and as I try to expand into the world and help more people and help myself and live more this, that, and the other thing, you go deeper and higher, let's say higher vibrational in one way in your life, you're actually got to heal the deeper, darker energies in your chakras being stored. So trying to do this work at the next, taking it to the next level, my back started going, are you sure? Are you able to do this, Mandara? Are you really everything you've been saying you are? Ego, fear, it all rose to surface again. And I had to reheal. The difference now is I know what to do and I'm not scared of you, ego.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, fear, hello, I know, but F off. So I love you, F off, love you. Because you've got to love all parts of yourself. So I had to love my scared child, wounded self, the girl with the bad back. I needed to just say hello and go, no, I've got this. I can write a book to help people. I can enjoy this creative process for myself. It's okay. And it'll come up again. It will. But you have faith in it's just to show, universe is just testing us. That's all. So just keep using your tools, wherever you're at, whatever level you've gone through your tools, just keep using them.
Yeah, exactly. And yours come in the form of like life wellness coaching, healing coaching. Is that something you're active in?
Yeah, exactly. I love to help coach people. In the last year, I've been doing this. I started a video production company to help people tell their story because I love helping people. I love telling mine through speaking, and I wanted to help people. I'm a visual artist, so the visual arts and visual storytelling was a no-brainer for me. But then my love for healing has kind of dominated this past year, and I am delighted to be able to offer services now as a life coach. I might change my title over time. I like the title transformation coach. Wellness coach is more about nutrition. I'm not nutrition only. I literally can connect with a person's conscious, unconscious is the best way, and I do energy work and healing through that process. So I can guide people wherever they're at, wherever they need healing, just wherever it goes, and I can do it online, uh, which is pretty amazing because energy is, it's unseen, but it's there.
It's
Because
everywhere.
you don't need to touch anybody to do this work.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so inspiring, and it's great to hear a real life story and see it, and be a part of that journey with someone in our field. Anyone who's watching this, anyone who meets you, people on the street might pass you by and not know your story, and to see it and to hear it and to feel it and to know it's possible. I think of cancer patients and people who are smoking, alcoholics, people who had a back injury or a car accident. There's someone in our office who's struggling with some issues with their spine, and to know that it really is possible. It's not just
It's
a woo.
real. It really is. It's magical. It feels that way to me, which is why I'm motivated to help others, because I'm like, this magic needs to be shit. Like it's just, when your perspective changes, when a human being changes their perspective, it changes their whole reality. So that's all that needs to happen is just help someone who's been in a car accident. I've been in four. Help someone who's been in a car accident, just switch that mindset from it's okay. It just right now it's shitty and it sucks, but it's okay. Just sit here, accept that it's shitty and it sucks.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
sit there for a minute, breathe. You got to accept that first to be able to go forward. And then you're once you get out of that thinking mind, because you've accepted it's shitty, you don't have to think about it anymore. You're like, it is this way just for now. I'm okay with that. And now my intention is to get beyond it, and then let the rest of your higher self help you out, or people like me. Because my role is, healers have always facilitated my healing. So I would like people to go out and obviously go look for healers, physios. I'm not personally into chiros, no offense to chiros out in the world, but osteopaths, Reiki, massage. There's so many kinds of healers out there, people like me coaching. You need help when you need help, but you can't have someone else cure you. It's not going to happen. They facilitate, they encourage, we inspire. Like, I'm going to inspire you. I'm going to give you tools and advice and stretching techniques if you need it, what to eat. I'm going to help you cure, help you with heal your emotional being first and foremost. But then you've got to meet the universe halfway. You've got to do it. No one can do this for you. And so with just that little perspective shift, that might be the start of something magical, miracles.
100%. And acceptance. If you don't accept, it's so easy to slip into victim. It's so easy to go, someone did this to me. This you could have been the ultimate victim. I have a bad
Oh,
back.
I was for many, many years. I was a victim. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. And do you
Yeah.
remember the moment when you accepted? Do you remember the moment when it went, okay, now we're gonna do something? Do you remember that? Or was it over
Yeah.
time? Yeah. You want to tell us about that?
I was actually sitting in this room where I am. I was actually sitting in this very spot, not on this
Wow.
chair. I was sitting in this very spot. And, you just have a really good cry and you go, this is where I'm starting from. But it's a start. It's just a start. It's just the beginning, of something else. So that's what the transformational journey is. It's like recognizing where you start, using your visualization to see where it is you want to go. But the universal joke is you surrender and you're going to get somewhere, hopefully even better, somewhere that you weren't completely imagining, right? But that moment was when I accepted it, was a lot of tears, a lot of grief, a lot of holy shit. I've been seeing myself as a needy person who needed everyone else to support me.
Mm.
And spines emotionally are about support. They're about believing that you are not supported. And that's because who can support you fully? My parents did what they could. They did their best. They did a lot. Doctors, people, they tried whatever, the support, but emotionally, I was getting drained from all kinds of things because I needed to see myself as able to support myself. And then my spine started to heal as I recognized, okay, I can't do it. I'm like barely there now, but I'm going to support myself. And the joke, remember, I couldn't hold down a job for years, but as soon as I started to heal my spine and believe I could do it, let go of the grief of all of that BS I used to tell myself, what happened? My career transformed. I mean, I rose up to in the ranks and became manager of this and that. And I have a fine art degree. So from a fine art degree to manager, I mean, it was a journey. Like the physical, the mirrored my internal reality.
Love it. Beautiful. I love this. I love everything about this. And I want to talk a little bit about your art. So just switch gears a little bit here.
Sure.
The wood and the burning and the blow torches and all this other cool shit you do. Let's hear about that.
Yeah. I should have brought my blowtorch right here and like lit it up.
Go get it. Get
I
your
do. I like to
blowtorch.
burn. I like to burn shit. I love the smell of the campfire. I love burning stuff. I went to Emily Carr University and I went to Concordia Fine Art in Montreal. I'm a Montrealer initially. Hello, all the Montrealers. Anyone who's watching.
Hello, congratulations. The Canadians do hockey, play very, very, very good.
Yeah.
What was that?
Bonjour,
Close?
bonjour.
No, terrible.
Yeah, I brought my my art practice here, and of course fell in love with the BC landscape, and so I'm a nature painter. I did oil painting, but I went to Emily Carr and I did some wood sculpture, and then I realized how physical it was. And back then, I started healing myself yet? No, not quite. Not with this practice. It was sort of in those transitionary times, so I had less confidence in my body. And I was like, this is hard. I was trying to take like power tools and drills and axes and like get into wood. And it was difficult. So I ended up taking some plywood and I said, what if I burn this plywood and just play with it? And then it was like, one of those slow-mo moments in a movie where, like destiny. And I found my tool and I found my medium. I was a painter, but suddenly had this blowtorch that acted like a paintbrush. And the plywood was like a canvas. And when you light up a piece of wood, what happens? The wood grain is revealed. And the wood grain in every piece of wood is very unique. And so it lights up and becomes evident in different ways. And it looked like water and sky and cloud and smoke, all this kinds of movement. And I got really, really into it. And I created an art form that I haven't seen anywhere else. I haven't promoted myself as much as I'd like to. That's something that I'm going to start doing more now. I've been challenged by one of our Toastmasters. Andrea has challenged me to show one piece of art a day. And my mother might be watching right now. She's a brilliant artist. She's my first art teacher. She shows a painting every day on Facebook. And she promoted this event today because of showing every day. I mean, people love seeing the visual medium. So I'm excited to show some more of my work. But I do commission clients and I do occasionally have a show. And so I blowtorch it. And I like to do, like recently I did a piece for his client, 5 foot tall by about 3 foot wide, and of an owl on the Coquitlam River here out where we live, and with rocks and trees. And so there's some paint on there and some router and some woodworking tools and blowtorch. I paint with fire, is what I say.
Paint with fire. There you go. I like that. Where can we find your art? Do you have a display? Do you have a website?
My website, mandara.ca. You can see a little bit about wellness coaching stuff is going to be uploaded more on there. My video production, speaking, and fine art is all on there right now. Simple, mandara.ca.
Beautiful. And how does that play in with Mandara Media?
Well, Mandara Media encompasses all the forms of media that I do. So the video production and the fine art production is the media side. So Mandara Wellness will be coming out more over time. Yeah, I also like to interview people and talk like you do. I love to talk and help people tell their transformational story. I love it. So there is an interview on there with a healer friend of mine right on my website, which is a really one to go check out, about climbing out of your own story and how you heal from trauma that way. She's got some wisdom there.
Love it. What story are you looking to climb out of yourself right now?
That's a good question, because we always are telling ourselves a story. My new story is, hmm, there's so many. I'm like going, oh my God, there's so many stories. I guess finding my audience, telling myself, coming out of the story that how is my audience going to find me? Like I have all these ideas and things, but how are they going to find me? Like, what if they don't find me? It's
Mm.
that self-doubt piece of so wanting to connect. And this today, manifesting this, I see you and I having manifested this awesome moment and meeting each other through Toastmasters and doing the speech contest together. Like we keep sharing in these awesome opportunities, but we're creating them, right? That's what I mean. We're manifesting them, we're creating them. So you helped me and manifest this today, and it's a start. So if anyone's listening and shares it, that's what I'm hoping for, that story flipped and the audience that is meant to hear me will find me, and that's more than I could ask for once they find me.
Yeah, and that's what this is all about for me. I love that, is this connectedness, this organic way we all find each other when you're vibrating at the right frequency and you're leveling up and you're meeting people that share their journeys. Well, now your journey helps someone because they hear your journey on my show, and my show has them tell their friend about something, and then their friend, like you said, with your people spreading this show on Facebook. Hopefully it's all being used for good. We don't have people
Yeah.
doing it for evil, going, we're going to now get them for being conscious. But that's
Yeah.
the work of the light worker, that we're out there raising consciousness and offering a way to heal, offering a better way, uh, communicating and interacting in ways that we wouldn't otherwise do. And as Danny says in the book The Mosaic, he was my guest on the first show. We're all just filling a piece of each other's mosaic, one little piece at a time. That's
Yeah,
the
I
whole
like
reason.
that.
I love it. That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm doing this anyway.
Exactly. That's why we're
Yeah.
doing this,
Yeah.
And they say like one person at a time. It really is. I gave a workshop recently to discuss some of this. And, at the guest feedback at the end, one woman was just like, she was so above and beyond the other people that showed up. She was just so like, thank you, Mandara. She said, you're my hummingbird and my joy, today. You've given me so much love and light. And I thought I came away from that workshop going, one person, who
One
knows who
person.
she's going to talk to and help and do and help to heal herself. Just go and facilitate. It's just yay.
Yay. A
One person at
spiritual
a time.
spiritual yay. Love it. Um,
Yay.
I'd love, you got a few more minutes to chit chat a little bit about your travels,
Sure.
your travel stories.
Oh, I miss traveling. I
I
want to
know.
travel so badly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
I
would you?
used to travel. So before I met my husband, before I had my daughter, I was 19 and I totally lost my way. I was dancing up a storm back then, though. I was partying in the clubs in Montreal. It was fun, but there was a soulless side to it. I lost my way and I needed to go. And an ex-boyfriend of mine who lived in England called me. I call him Jake the Snake, born in the Chinese sign of the snake. Um, but it was tempting. He was very charismatic, romantic, quoted Nietzsche to me. And he was an integral part of my journey. So as any women out there, anyone who's been in an abusive relationship, I went off with a madman on an abusive relationship to exact other side of the world for me. So I moved from Montreal, Quebec to Australia eventually. I'm in London and then eventually Australia. So unable to connect with my friends and family because of the time zone difference. It was really hard. I went off on this journey where I tried on, experimented being everything I wasn't. I became a smoker, a whole pack a day. I became a beer drinker. I don't drink beer. But I got out of my comfort zone. This man like got me out of my comfort zone. So I tried scuba diving and I did 101 dives. I became a scuba diver. I was afraid of water. I was afraid of drowning my whole life. Must have been a past life, but I was born like I hated water. Unless I had my little floaties on. I was unhappy when I was a child. I wouldn't even shower. And so he got me scuba diving. So what I'm saying is I went on the other side of the world to be everything that I wasn't. And when you do that, you begin to you hit rock bottom. I wasn't aligned with any part of my soulful being. And I was abused every day, physically, mentally, emotionally. He actually convinced me that I was gaining weight and I was losing weight. Everything was the opposite. When I got home from my travels, I was 20 pounds lighter than I thought I was. Now, how is that possible? When you utterly lose yourself. So hitting rock bottom, I met the kindness of strangers. That's what this story is really about. When you travel, we're taught that the world is a scary place. I had put myself with a scary man. And yet the whole time I was there, when we'd have a fight and I'd run off or whatever I'd do, I would escape him for a little while. I'd meet a stranger and I'd have a conversation and they'd tell me their story of their life. And sometimes they had seen or witnessed our fight. And some of them would ask me, Dare, can I help you get on a plane? Can I pay for you to get on a plane? Can I help you? And I had so many people try to help me. I called them my angels, from police officers to cab drivers. I can't tell you how many people came up. And there's too many stories to get into. But the point is that I suddenly realized that I had a spiritual connection to the universe, that I was manifesting these experiences with my abusive boyfriend because the way I saw myself as small and little and, you know what I mean, inside, and I didn't have a voice and scared and, gaining weight. And I saw myself as all these things. And so I was manifesting this, but at the same time, I was also manifesting these angels giving me brilliant wisdom and insight. And it was uncanny. They would show up at my door just as I needed it. The cab driver would pull over on the side of the street and pick me up at like 1 a.m. and be there as if it was a miracle. And I realized that we're connected to the whole. And when I realized it was braver of me to leave this man than to stay with him, because we all want to change the person we're with until we realize we smarten up and you can't change anybody. When I stopped allowing him to project onto me, I realized I have loving people back home that I can go, they'll hold up a mirror and see me as the loving, beautiful person I am. In fact, I am a loving and beautiful person. And I just flipped it on my head and I started to believe those strangers. And I believed that I was that was the true mirror of me, these kind people out in the world that I didn't know, not this asshole I was next to. So I just had this spiritual awakening. And from that point, a year later, I met my husband, had a kid, found healing. So it just shifted my whole vibration. So I had to be, as they say, it's like the CIA training. They beat you up until you don't know who you are anymore and you don't recognize yourself. And from that place, you can rebuild. I did it the hard way. In other words, I did it the really, really hard way. And I wouldn't recommend it for anybody. Yeah. So I've been beaten up a few times in my life, my surgery and the men I chose. But you learn so much you build so much strength, and then the courage and the trust of the universe to provide for me to get home is the next part of the journey. So it all happened. It really did. So but I was in Australia, I had the mirage. Like I thought I had the man, he had money, or his parents did. We were living on the, Great Barrier Reef, scuba diving, the paradise was everywhere, the birds. I had the image of something and it was all an illusion. It wasn't real.
Wow. The inspiration continues with you. And would you change any of it?
Not a thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, not for my journey. I mean, the only thing that's part of the story, that beating myself up, like you said, changing the story, is that I wish I had started talking about this stuff openly, outwardly, vulnerably 11 years ago. That's all.
That's it, isn't it? When you get to that place, you wish you'd started earlier, but you never could have gotten to that place if you had started earlier. I battle with that. I battle with that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and my daughter's turning 18, my daughter's growing up, and so it's like a natural progression for me to maybe take my career. I don't know. It's happening now for whatever reason, and it's happening the year of COVID. Like I'm coming out to the world to help heal things during COVID. I never would have thought that would have been the time to start. I was always going to talk about letting go of fear to heal yourself. Well, now look when I'm starting it. So,
yeah,
I guess it's needed.
It's needed. It's needed. A couple of these podcasts, we've talked about how the light workers were all called about 4 years ago. That it sounds like your journey started well before that, but 4 years ago, like 2017, 2018, the Schumann resonance and the earth moving at a different consciousness level, and how there was a download for just a ton of people that were unconscious, me being one of them. And all of a sudden it was smack, 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 higher self going, okay, bud, there's something going on up here. Like, get out of your shit. Let's go. You wasted, not wasted. You've this growth pattern
You
that
trained, you
you're
trained
being
for.
trained, right? You've been trained for, exactly. And, and it was about 4 years ago. And I had a conversation with a little bit earlier with Monica, and it was 4 years ago for her. And that there's something about that. And it was time for light workers to rise, and I don't fully understand it. I know I'm a part of it. How do I then help other people understand themselves, and those ones that really want they want change, they want something else? You said it enough times. They have to want it. I can't want it for them. I can offer mediums in this podcast and just be a good person, and in the end, that's in some ways the best I can do. And you just hope that people latch on to
Light workers facilitate.
Mhm.
I say I'm a healer and I heal myself, but what you're doing right now is facilitating. You're giving people
Mhm.
opportunity. They have to listen fully, connect fully, be present fully, take nuggets away, and then apply them in their lives. That's, but what you're doing here is brilliant. You've given people like myself a platform, and I appreciate it so much. So who knows
Thank
who
you.
we're reaching here or will reach, or this is just the beginning of something. But it's interesting because I think the biggest battle we have as light workers, I do identify as that myself, the inner light shining, right? It's connecting to
Mhm.
source light and then shining it out. Because we're channels, we're conduits, we're channels for that energy. Um, is that this term woo woo
Yeah.
come up over the last, like, we're woo woo and like, oh, are you a witch or you're a that or you're that? You know what I mean? I love that in the mainstream media, aliens are suddenly coming. The US Congress is saying
I
there's
know.
aliens, or we're not saying that, but we're just saying, they're kind of, everything's coming out. It's all going to be revealed. I have it's in time, within my lifetime, our lifetime or not. It's real. And I'm tired of people having to explain it over and over again in that way where it's like, I'm not trying to prove it. I'm living it.
Mhm.
And, all I can do is offer. I can just offer this. And you can, who is it? Carolyn Miss. She's a brilliant mind, working 30 years in this field as a therapist counselor. And she says, how does she put it? She goes, I'm not going to explain it all. I can't prove it to you. She's saying this in her TED talk. You just know it in your heart. You just can feel it. You know what I'm saying? You just can feel it. And she just gives her audience that time to go, you know it, you know it. If you don't feel it, you don't feel it. Like, move on. Maybe I'm not for you. Maybe this isn't for you, but
Mhm.
use your feeling. Get out of your head. Get out of your, well, how do I don't know. Just let it in, and that's what I'm hoping, because I don't need to be burned as a witch anymore. I probably did that a million times in my life.
Yeah. Now you're taking it out on the wood. Yeah.
Right? You and I would have been burned.
We were, well,
But I'd
funny.
stand next to you anytime, Brent. I'd
Oh,
stand right beside you. Yeah.
oh, thank you. Yeah, you too. You know, we found each other for a reason, and that little club, Down to Business. I don't know what down to business originally meant, but we get down to business, and
We
we
get down
ride.
to business.
It's amazing the people that we've attracted. But yeah, then again, it's like, of course we did. Of course we did.
Of course we
And,
did. We put out those frequencies. That's how it works.
and can you explain the Charles Brent connection to me a little bit? Because this seems too incredible that Charles passed right when I began, and the similarities and the connectedness I
Oh,
feel,
right.
right? Like,
Right. No,
uh,
that's so true. Yeah, Charles was one of these souls. Actually, the first day he came into Toastmasters Club, bodybuilder, rough voice, tough dude. I'll tell you, I was a little triggered from my club days. I thought, oh no, who is this coming into, like, who's this guy? He's an actor. He's very confident, but he's really loud, like bodybuilder, or like he just, and, but then the kindness, he was this funny, brilliant soul. He's just so charismatic and funny and genuine. And he lit up the room and he made us all laugh, and he was outside the box. Everything he was creative, and he passes away tragically suddenly. It was unbelievable. I mean, I believe he had a heart attack. It was just, he was so healthy, he's health conscious. He promoted health and wellness. And to be such a positive, loving, outgoing soul, it was unreal. It's hard to do this work, that we do, and then go and then you die. Like,
Mhm.
how is that possible that you could suddenly die if you are this light in the world? And I won't go into explaining that. I can't. I can, anyways. But I guess some part of him was meant to go. And you came in and you totally carried on. The baton was passed on, and now we have your light and your humor and your comedy and the bright blue eyes. You had the bright blue eyes. It is fascinating energetically what happened there. You're right. It's every club needs a Brent or Charles. Don't leave
Oh,
our club. Well, if you do, we'll get another you. It'll just be another. Not
yeah.
everyone can be you. No one can be Charles, but another. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But you're right. That was fascinating, and you do bring that edge, and that comedy. Yeah,
it's
my heart.
well, and I did a little solo episode on here right before the night before my speech in the districts, where I'd moved on to the district championships, and it was all I was crying in my car. I was thinking about Charles. The story is I've never met Charles because he passed away. I think people hope we can connect that
Yeah.
right before I began with this club, and and we do this thing now called the Chucky Blue Eyes quote of the day. Who won today, by the way? Curious. I had to leave early.
Who won today? Um, that's terrible that I forgot. I was the chair of the meeting.
You weren't
Who won?
you weren't the grammarian.
Diane.
In fairness, Diane.
Oh, no. My
Okay,
brain.
someone won today.
Terrible that I did.
Every week, someone wins a
That'll
Chucky
come
Blue.
to me.
It's okay. Every week someone wins a Chucky Blue Eyes quote of the day in Charles' honor, and it's a outrageous quote or a takeaway moment or something, and we remember him every week. And I was driving my car the day before the last competition where I came second in the province, and I had Charles energy. Everything was Charles. I felt Charles. I was Charles. I wanted to be Charles. I needed to understand
Wow.
Charles. It was incredible. And
I
I
had no
remember,
clue you had this.
yeah. And I even wrote in the group, I'm like, I need to write Charles into my speech somehow. And Anne and Melissa talked me off the ledge. They're like, calm down. Your speech is good. Just chill. Right. And then I channeled that. And then I started crying. I just started crying. I cried for Charles. I cried about myself and my own journey. And it was just so powerful. And when you think about our connectedness to our higher self and our connectedness to the earth, to our past lives, to our future lives, to the people that we've lost, there's so much more going on that we can't
Yeah.
explain. And tapping into that led to the next day and the competition. And before I spoke, I was the calmest I had ever been speaking. I don't know if it came across in my speech. I haven't seen my speech. It's got recorded. I won't see it until August. But I was almost maybe too calm in a way, because I knew that this moment was for me and for Charles and for our club. And, I delivered the
Oh,
speech of
it's
my
beautiful, Brent.
lifetime. Yeah. It was, it
It
was
is
incredible.
hard to picture. I mean, you're being calm on this interview, like there's a holding space thing for each other going on, but you're usually wacky and you'd be off camera by now or pulling up some prop or doing something funny. And Charles would do that. I have no doubt. That's fascinating. That's like the big magic, like that
Yeah.
transference. It's of spirit and energy.
That's a great way to
That's
put it.
cool.
I never thought of that. Is that moment you speak about in the book where Elizabeth Gilbert hugged her, kissed her artist friend, and then this idea for a book went away, and then she took it and ran it with it and made a book. And maybe that's just simply what happened here with Charles Strassny and Brent Raymond. Will forever be
Yeah, and
linked.
Charles is guiding us to put us together. I could see that.
Mm.
I could see that right now. Um, Facilitating all this. I love that. When people pass away, I feel them, closer to me in some way because their energy, they're right here. They're all the time. Because our thinking mind will think there's distance. Oh, they live over there. They're in, New Zealand. They're in, you know what I mean? They're so far away. It's
Yeah.
not true, but that can feel that way. But when someone passes away, as much as the grief is hard to deal with, the energy is present. It's like everywhere. It's like, okay, I need you, they're right there. So I actually experience that. And I help people experience that. So it's real. It's all real. It's real.
It's real. And actually, Charles has a message for you right now. He was the awe counter during this, and he said, 2 so's, 4 ahs, 1 but, 2 ands, and 11
Did
ahas.
you really count? Did you really? I heard all my own so's, ands, or buts. I heard them all, every single one.
Oh, this is amazing. Anything else on your mind right now? Any questions you wish I'd asked you?
No, I think this has been a brilliant conversation and just fun. And we could do this all day, and we do it every Wednesday. And I invite people to come check out Toastmasters, I think, because, come see our meeting to start. But if you like inspiring stories and hearing inspirational speakers, or you want to try, to share your story, just come. You get this devoted, caring, truthful, heartfelt audience. I mean, as I said, finding your audience. I have an audience family that I test my material out with every week, and you can too, or any Toastmaster club near you. But yeah, it's a really great start, because like we said from the beginning, sharing your story, it's like sitting around a campfire. The elders, Indigenous, knew this. They still do it. They keep, these traditions and stories and healing alive through their stories. So, this is the modern way of sitting around the campfire.
And it's safe. It's a safe place to grow. It's not scary. You don't have to get up and do it.
Cultivate safety. You cultivate safety over time, and we have with each other. So when you're new, but then you'll feel it. Trust your gut.
For sure. Yeah, in all aspects.
Come on to Down to Business.
Love it. 9 a.m. Wednesday mornings. Toastmasters Down to Business. You can get in touch with myself or Mandara. And again, the website is www.mandara.ca, Mandara. And on Instagram, you're at Mandara Media. Is that your primary?
Yeah, at
handle?
Mandara Media. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. This is amazing. I love that we've attracted each other to our lives. You're incredible.
This is only the beginning.
Yeah. And oh my God, you and I have won, or we've come first, second, or third in every single contest that you and I have entered. And we've set the bar for our club. And there are so many great speakers in the club that no one knows about yet. And they're coming for you next January. So you and I are in trouble.
I know. And we're facilitating that by encouraging them to be our challengers next year's competition.
I know, it's
but that's legit. That's love. That's important, right? It's not really a competition. So you and I and whoever else from our club, we've got to get to, I know it's only one of us, I guess, but we've got to get to the highest international level. I would love to see you there.
I'd love to see you there.
Love it. All
Beautiful.
right.
Well, this was Chakras and Shit. A playful look at spirituality. Chakras spelt wrong. SHAKRASANDSHIT. Thank you for being my guest, and I will see you next Wednesday morning. Bye, everyone. Thank you.